Thank you. Love each and every one of you as well. No, it's always great to be here. Arizal Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. It is always an incredible gift for me, and it's an incredible honor to be able to do the Kwanzaa service on an annual basis since I became a reverend of the Community Medical Center. And the beauty of it is that I'm appreciating and that I'm recognizing why I appreciate it so much is the fact that how inclusive the Community Medical Center is, making sure that we integrate all the different types of holidays and celebrations that exist in this world. And I think that says a lot about who we are as a center. And so that's something that I will always cherish and always truly appreciate very much regarding that aspect of it. So thank you very much, Reverend Tony, for keeping this tradition going constantly. It's a wonderful thing. So the greeting for Kwanzaa is in Swahili, so it is a Pan-African language, so that's what it is. And so one of the things when you do the greeting for Kwanzaa is it's really about looking at the African and African American community regarding its culture. A lot of times we want to focus on the ethnic aspect of it or the nationality, but it really is about looking at the culture for the community to be able to come together and recognize and to really understand that. So that's part of what the greeting is. And one of the things that you do when you greet for Kwanzaa is you say Abre Ganye, and then you say what the purpose of the day is. And today's purpose of the day is Nia, which is purpose. So I'm going to say Abre Ganye, and then you guys' response was Nia. Okay? Abre Ganye? Nia. All right, great job. So that's the proper way that you greet someone during the time period of Kwanzaa to acknowledge that aspect of it. As I think about it and as I reflect on Kwanzaa, what it means to me, one of the beauty things about it is that it does have an altar. And I really do appreciate and value the fact that we constantly, and people continue to bring stuff, to the altar, because I think that's one of the biggest symbols of Kwanzaa, for people to bring collective stuff that means something to them, whether it's their family, their community, or something that is related to them. So I think that's a very powerful thing that continues to exist and that we bring, and so I'm very grateful for it. So the thing that I'm going to focus on here is the Kanar, which is the candle holder. Because it represents the 7 different principles of Kwanzaa. As you can see, there's 1 black candle, 3 red candles, and 3 green candles. And so the reason why the black candle is at the center is because it represents unity. It's really representative of us realizing that we're not separate human beings, that we actually are united as one. And I think that's a very powerful thing that exists. And then the other thing is regarding Kwanzaa is that the red candle represents the struggle. It represents the struggles that Black and African Americans went through that time period. And also, you think about the struggles that we continue to go through today in this country and in this world that we are in regarding that aspect of it. And then there's the green candle, which represents the future, the hope of how things are actually going to get better as we continue to progress in this country. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. So yes, we have our struggles, but the thing is, there is a future to really, really pay attention to it regarding that aspect of it. And so the way it works is on the first day of Kwanzaa, you always light the black candle for unity. And then the second day, you light the red candle. And then the third day, you do the green candle. And then the green and red is alternating until you get to the 7th day. So that's how it actually works, and that's how it's set. But also, Kwanzaa does have certain principles that they highlight, which I think is very valuable, and I think that is very important for us to keep in mind, as we listen to me today, but also just keep in mind as you go throughout the year as we come into 2019. One of it is the purpose of the principles is to organize and enrich our relations with each other on a personal and community level. Think about that. To be able to organize and enrich our relations. And it's brought about us individually as personal, but more importantly, on a community level, and what that can achieve when we bring everyone together to enrich that. Because that's how we do things as a collective. And then the second one is establish standards, commitment, and priorities that will tend to enhance our human possibilities as persons and a people. A commitment for us to set our own priorities. Can you imagine what that can be like, to be able to do that? And we are the ones who are able to enhance that and to set those standards for ourselves and for our communities, our families, and all the people that we relate with. Aid in the recovery and reconstruction of lost historical memory and achievements. There is so much history that exists in this country, yet I don't think we do enough service of bringing that history forward. History is a good way to learn from and to be able to build on that. Yes, there are things that were tragedy that happened in our history, but we could learn from that and bring it to another level, to reconstruct it in a more positive way. Serve as a contribution to a core system of communitarian ethical values for the moral guidance and instruction of the community, especially for our children. The thing that stands out for me is when they highlight our children. It makes me think about our children, the new generation coming up, that each and every one of us, I believe, has a responsibility to be able to support, to bring up, to let the children know the value that they actually have. It doesn't have to be your own biological kids. It could be your nephew, it could be your nieces, it could be your friends' kids, it could be any children who you tend to be coming in contact with. That's bringing a community value together when we're able to start with them at such a young age and watch them grow and be able to do the same thing for their next generation. Contribute to an ongoing and expanding set of Afrocentric communitarian values, starting our own new history. Recognizing that we have the opportunity to expand it. Yes, it was taught to us early on, but we can go ahead and expand it to where it fits now in our country, where it fits now in our values. Yes, stick to this core principles, but expand upon it. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. So, Kwanzaa is an African American and Pan-African holiday which celebrates from December 26th until January 1st. It is about the first harvest and celebration of Africa, from which it takes its name. The name Kwanzaa is actually derived from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits. In Swahili, a Pan-African language, which is the most widely spoken African language. It was conceived and developed by Dr. Mulona Karinga and was first celebrated December 26, 1966. So that's when it became about here in the United States. It is based on the agriculture celebrations of Africa called the first fruits. Celebrations which were times of harvest, ingathering, reverence, commemoration, recommitment, and celebration. Let's take a moment and think about that. Reverence, commemoration, recommitment, and celebration. It is a time of ingathering Black African Americans for a celebration of their heritage and their achievements and reverence for the Creator and creation of our past, recommitment to our cultural ideals, and celebration of the good. It came out of a struggle in the 60s. But as we know through history, there's been struggle way before then. But this particularly the reason why Dr. Kringer brought it up was because of the struggles through the 60s. And as we know, the 60s was a time where a lot of movements started to come forward, whether it was the women's movement, whether it was the gay movement, whether it was the civil rights movement with prominent leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. But the thing that I want to think about and recognize is that it came before then. I want to think about two prominent women that I feel helped in light of this. During her time period, Harriet Tubman, what she did, of freeing slaves, how powerful that was for her during that time period, to be able to do that. And then Rosa Parks, what she did, taking the courage to be able to refuse to give up her seat for a white man. In my mind, Rosa Parks was the one who enlightened for what we needed to do in the 60s. But I think, unfortunately, in our society, we have a tendency focusing on what men did and leaving out what the work of the incredible, powerful women did for our country. And I think it's important for us to keep that in mind and to actually remember that. And the beauty of Kwanzaa is it gives us the opportunity to find a way to understand, to cherish, to come together as a community, not separate individuals, but as a community to be able to bring to light the beauty that actually exists in this world. A lot of times we do want to focus on the things that was not good for us. But this is an opportunity to bring it to light, to see what really exists. As course students, we are fortunate that we're able to study something that allows us to shift our perception when things goes wrong, or even when things are not going wrong. And we have a lesson every single day to be able to practice that. And for Kwanzaa, even though it's only set for 7 days, these are principles I think is important for us to bring forward much, much, much more every single day, because I think that is the values that we need to have as well. And so the 7 principles of Kwanzaa is Umoja, which is unity, Kujugila, which is about self-determination, Ujima, collective work and responsibility, Ujama, which is cooperative economic, Nia, which is purpose, Kuumba, which is creativity, and Imani, which is about faith. One of the things that happens on Kwanzaa is at the end of the day, you get the chance to reflect and talk about what that principle of the day is. Today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa. And so the principle of that today is Nia, purpose. And so even though it's earlier in the day, I did have the opportunity to reflect on Nia, to reflect on the idea of purpose and how that relates to me and how I see it and how I'm continuing to learn and continue to evolve and to continue to grow from that. So Nia, a purpose, this is what Kwanzaa has it as. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. And the thing that kept coming to my mind regarding this, the thing that resonated, for me, definitely the aspect of bringing things back collectively to our traditional greatness, because I think we got lost. I think because of our history, we forget that. We forget what our purpose is and understanding what that really means, and to be able to get back to that rootness of it, regarding that aspect of it. But I also like the fact of, in my mind, the purpose is also about us learning how to help and elevate our community. For me, specifically elevating my Black African American community and fighting for equality. For me, that's the purpose where I'm seeing, where I'm supposed to be right now. It's bringing that to a community, to my community, to embrace it, and to help us understand the impact, what it's like to be in this society and in this world. And for me, that was a challenge. It was a challenge because I was afraid of speaking my truth. But knowing as a course student, as long as I'm asking for my guidance, it is a thing that I'm supposed to do. And having Kwanzaa as part of my tradition is helping me involve of who I'm supposed to be, of me bringing that traditional greatness back, not only to myself, but to everyone who I interact with, especially when I think about my nephews and nieces. The Course tells us this: the real world is the state of mind in which the only purpose of the world is seen to be forgiveness. Fear is not its goal, and escape from guilt becomes its aim. What a powerful Course statement. And the thing that sticks out for me is the fact that we're supposed to allow ourselves to forgive. And the thing that's kept coming to my mind is, how do we forgive a world that had brought so much tragedy to it? How do we forgive a world early on where this phrase that people love to use, all men are created equal? We know that is full of crap. Because not all men created equally. That was designed by white men. Most likely straight white men at that. They created that phrase, and guess what? We all bought into it. For years, we've always used that. And the thing that we don't even think about, they totally let out a whole gender, women. Like they don't even exist. They didn't even include them in that statement. So how do we go about forgiving a world, a society, who's already set things up that was not equal? Not even thinking about also our transgender group as well, how it's not included in the equality. And for me, as a course student, as a person of color, an African American, my purpose is to continue to bring this to light, to continue to recognize and to understand that I cannot be afraid, that I need to own it. And I recognize that a lot of my talks recently has been about race and racism, because that is my experience. It's not about me being separate, it's about me bringing things together as a community, as a whole, for us to be able to heal. That's what it's about. And now I was reflecting on Nia, that's what kept coming up for me, of owning my own voice regarding that. Letting go of my ego, trusting what my purpose is in this world. And that is to bring equality to each and every human being in this world. And fight against those who don't see it that way. And for me to come from my perspective, my experience, is so valuable. And then the Course says this: the world becomes a place of hope because its only purpose is to be a place where hope of happiness can be fulfilled. The world becomes a place of hope because it is the only purpose is to be a place where hope of happiness can be fulfilled. I want to have hope. I want to continue to believe and trust in this world that we are in. To trust that things will continue to get better. And I see it, and I saw it in my nephews and nieces, when I was back in Phoenix, the new generation coming up and seeing where they are now in their lives. It is remarkable to be able to see that, to be able to experience what they went through and now where they are now. That is hope. That is where the happiness comes. And I think it's important for us to hold on to that. No matter what's going on now in our country, no matter how we feel about the current administration, we need to have hope. We need to believe and trust that things will get better because each and every one of us have a part in that. We have a purpose. The question is, are you ready to cherish, to embrace, and use your purpose that you have in this world? The Course says, not yet is heaven quite remembered, for the purpose of forgiveness still remains, and fear has dropped away because he is united in his purpose with himself. We are united as one. We each was given something to do in this world. And it is time, at least for me, is to embrace it, to love it, to not feel guilty, to not get upset when my white friends gets mad because I speak my truth as a Black African American, because that's how we're going to heal. And I can no longer feel guilty about that. My purpose is to bring healing to this world. And I will continue to fight and continue to evolve to be able to do that. I always have Kwanzaa, and that's my talk.